Your finance job is not disappearing. It is being cut in half. Gartner predicts that by 2029, 1/3 of finance staff will hold what it calls shared jobs. One role, two workers. One of them is software. A shared job is not a person using a tool. It is a single role that neither the person nor the machine can complete alone. That distinction matters more than any automation headline you have read. Gartner names 3 skills that shared jobs demand. One of them is barely being hired for anywhere, and it decides who survives. We will get to that one. Start with what is already moving. McKinsey surveyed 102 chief financial officers across industries and regions about how their teams actually use generative AI. 44% ran 5 or more use cases. A year earlier, 7%. That is a 6-fold jump in a single year, and it happened inside the most conservative function in the building. Finance is not an early adopter. Finance is where technology goes to be audited. So when finance moves this fast, it is not chasing a trend at all. It is responding to something that already demonstrably works. The pilot phase in finance is over. This is production. McKinsey also reported that 65% of those chief financial officers plan to increase generative AI investment. Budget follows belief. That is the clearest signal in any organization. Here is what that money actually changed. Across finance functions where adoption went deep, McKinsey observed a measurable shift in where the hours went. 20 to 30% less time crunching data. That time did not vanish. It moved into business partnering, sitting with the division head, explaining why the forecast moved and what to do about it. The work did not shrink. It changed from producing the number to defending it. At one global consumer goods company, an AI assistant delivers budget variance insight to leaders across divisions and markets. It saved an estimated 30% of finance professionals' time. Notice what that assistant did not do. It did not decide anything. It handed a finished analysis to a human who had to stand behind it. That handoff is the shared job. Gartner describes 2 shapes it takes. First, the managerial model. The machine does volume. The person owns quality. AI performs the repetitive manual tasks at speed. The human manages that work and guarantees it is right before it leaves the building. Each side depends on the other. Speed from the machine, accuracy from the person. The second is the competitive model, and it is stranger than it sounds. Both the human and the AI analyze the same data at the same time, then compare their outputs against each other. Where they disagree is the point. The disagreement is the product. Gartner describes it as a continual feedback loop where each side improves the other, raising the quality of the decision that comes out. Translation, you are not replaced. You are graded against a tireless second analyst. Both models are high risk and high reward. Gartner is explicit about that. These roles carry outsized impact in either direction. Which brings us to the part that changes hiring, not just workflow. Gartner says the basic transactional analytical work gets absorbed by the AI counterpart, and that hits entry-level and mid-level hardest. Very few entry-level roles, many mid-level roles, few leaders. Gartner puts it in one image. The finance function stops being a pyramid and becomes a diamond. The wide base of junior seats narrows, the middle widens, the top stays small. Manager spans of control shrink at the same time because there are simply fewer junior people underneath to supervise. If you have followed this channel, you know what that shape creates. The entry rung was never only a job, it was the training. It was where judgment got built, one small mistake at a time. Remove the rung, and you do not just remove a headcount line. But Gartner is careful here, and this is where the story stops matching the doom headlines about finance careers. The entry-level job does not disappear, it gets promoted. Gartner calls them a new generation of sophisticated entry-level employees who build and manage simple automated processes instead of running them by hand. The old first job ran the process. The new first job builds it. Mid-level changes too. Those employees finally pick up the strategic work that capacity constraints always pushed quietly to next quarter. Automating complex processes, business partnering, the work that was always neglected. Read that carefully. The backlog of important work nobody had time for is exactly what the freed hours are being spent on. Translation: the ceiling on your value was never your skill, it was your calendar. So the honest question is not whether your finance job survives, it is which half of the split you are qualified for. Gartner says the answer needs a reprioritization of finance skills. Less value on core finance knowledge, more value on the skills that let a person and a machine work with and for one another. That sentence should make anyone who built a career on technical depth uncomfortable. Gartner names 3 skill sets that companies must prioritize for shared jobs to work at all. Here is the actual list. AI enablement, AI translation, AI monitoring. Take them one at a time because the gap between them is where careers are about to separate. First, AI enablement. Finance knowledge combined with AI tools, data science, and statistics. This is the skill everyone is currently buying. Job postings are full of it. Training budgets point straight at it. It is also the one that commoditizes fastest because the tools keep getting easier. Third, and skip ahead for a moment, AI monitoring. Fact-checking outcomes, detecting model drift, preventing bias, keeping regulators satisfied. Fact-check outcomes, detect model drift, prevent bias, ensure regulatory compliance. Finance people are unusually good at this already. Controls and audit are the oldest muscles in the function. Which leaves the second skill, the one almost nobody is hiring for. AI translation. Gartner defines it as interpreting and explaining AI outputs to leaders, even when the predictions fluctuate from expectations. Read that second half again. Even when the predictions fluctuate. That is the hard job, standing in front of a chief financial officer and explaining a number that contradicts what everyone expected. Not defending the model, defending the decision built on top of it. One skill runs the tool, the other one carries the accountability into the room. You cannot certify your way into that. There is no course that hands you the credibility to be wrong in public and still be trusted. The scarce skill is not using AI, it is being believed about AI. Here is the split that actually matters, and it has nothing to do with how good you are at spreadsheets. One group explains the machine, the other waits to be told. The second group is not lazy and not unskilled. They are doing exactly what the old written job description asked of them. That is the trap. The old description is no longer the job. So here is something concrete you can do at your next month-end close without waiting for anyone to approve a training budget. Find one flag variance, write the explanation yourself, say it aloud first. Then own the number in the room, not the model, the number and what you think the business should do about it. Do that 12 times, and you have a year of evidence nobody can automate. Every month-end close from now on is the recurring cue. When the variance report lands, ask which half of the split you just performed. 1 in 3 finance staff in shared jobs, 20 to 30% less time on data. None of those numbers say your job is going away. All of them say the job is being rewritten around you. 1 role, 2 workers, only one of them to be held accountable. That is not a consolation prize. Accountability is the only part of this job that was never automatable in the first place. 1 in 3 finance jobs becomes shared. Decide which half is yours.